Good evening. You're locked into your match reactions with Thiago's father from the Red Sea podcast. We are live on the LFC Daytrippers and we have a lot to discuss. A comprehensive victory over Leeds 3-0 and Mane actually getting in with the goals. Absolutely fantastic to see him getting amongst the goals today and actually setting the record straight as being one of the best wingers in the Premier League. Mo Salah joins the 100 club. Absolutely sensational for him as well. One of the fastest players in Premier League history to 100 goals. Will his legacy stand and will he actually get his flowers? But you're live with your LFC Daytrippers for the Match Reaction show. I am Thiago's father, as you already know. I cannot wait to deliver the match reaction and go through all of the details. We've got it here. We've got it live right now. Yes, guys, I'm pleased to be back on your screens again after that international break. I don't know about you, but I cannot stand international football. But ladies and gentlemen, my co-host SS is off celebrating his birthday today. He turned a sweet 31. So unfortunately, we've had to bring in a stand-in. I'm sure you're going to be pleased. It's one of the guys I know from the Scousers in London. Some really, really good opinions from this guy as well. He's a full-on committed Liverpool fan with some great views. Please welcome to the show, AA from Scousers in London. AA, how you doing, bro? You good?
Yeah, I'm good, bro. Especially after today's victory. Feeling great. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Absolutely fantastic. And obviously, you've been out watching the game with your pals today as well, so you're on your way back from the game.
Yeah, man.
Tell us. I mean, it's a massive result for Liverpool Football Club. Where we've been getting a bit of stick, people saying we haven't signed anyone. Are we going to be in the race? And with 3 games in, and we're looking as dominant as we have been. I mean, that's 11 unbeaten so far. In terms of our run that we went on from the back of the season, we've looked absolutely fantastic. Defensively, we've looked strong as well. So I for one am personally pleased. I mean, what's your thoughts so far?
So far, I agree with you, to be honest. It reminds me of we went on that run where we basically won the Champions League and we won the league. We were like so strong defensively. The way we sort of like press teams and like lock them into their own half, we control possessions and we just wouldn't let teams like basically get out of their own halves. And had like complete control of games. We're starting to look like that again, and it's very pleasing to see, to be honest. So I'm very happy with what's going on right now.
I have to agree with you. Thank you, Kev, for correcting me. 14 games unbeaten. Thank you very much for correcting me there. I mean, the main topic at the moment is obviously the injury to Harvey Elliott, which is devastating for a young player that's showing so much promise. Klopp's put so much faith and trust in him. Consecutive starts in the Premier League as well against big opposition, started against Chelsea and now started against Leeds. Is a main creative source as well. And he was in fine form today. It's a shame because he was due to come off 3 minutes after, or 3 minutes after the injury picked up. The change was already up on the board or going to be going up on the board for him to be changed for Henderson. So to see him get injured in such a way, was it a red or wasn't it a red?
For me, I didn't see it initially. Looking in slow motion, it does look like a red. But I actually went to the toilet at that time and rushed back quickly. And then I just saw him on the floor rolling around and everything that happened afterwards. And everyone that I was watching it with, they weren't really sure. They said it looked like he caught him, but it didn't look too bad. But then obviously when we seen it in slow motion, it does look pretty bad. And yeah, from what I saw, it does look like a red, because he sort of like just kind of scissored him a bit. But at the speed apparently it happened, it looked like very innocuous. But apparently as soon as it happened, Salah like rushed over to him, and it was clear that he was like really badly hurt. So from that view and from everything that's gone around it, then I would say it's justified, though I didn't see it in real times. What do you think of it?
I agree. I mean, it's a tough one for me. The ball was there to be won. You would say that based on the injury, it's a red card. Whether he meant to do it or not, that's not a factor for me. But the fact that you've endangered your opponent and the injury that's caused, or the fact the injury's caused after the tackle, tells me you've endangered your opponent. That is a red card. I mean, Kevo Sullivan with a fantastic comment in here as well. It was a red because of the injury, no intent, but nobody can say he wasn't in danger. His ankle is snapped, and that's my take on it as well. Kev, you summed it up for me. The intent wasn't there, but it's the fact and the severity of the injury. I mean, we look at medical science right now. We look at the way that these players are insulated and bubble wrapped. Hopefully, he makes a speedy recovery. We've seen Joe Gomez suffer with leg breaks and muscle injuries and so on and so forth. So hopefully, Harvey Elliott will be back in the Liverpool shirt as soon as possible. I think that this injury potentially or more than likely does end Harvey Elliott's Liverpool season. I mean, Kev O'Sullivan here as well. Klopp is devastated, very emotional. And I totally agree with you, Kev, because for Jurgen Klopp, he treats all his players like they are family. To be fair, you know, and to have a player like Harvey Elliott, that's in the Liverpool lineup, that's doing all the creative work, and a young player that's really influencing games, is absolutely fantastic. It's a shame for me. I mean, I mean, hopefully he can recover from this injury and come back into the lineup when he's fit, and obviously probably next season. I would probably say that pre-season of next year is probably the target for him, to get back in and really kind of pick up where he left off. I mean, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, that's the only real sad thing, and it really brought a downer on the game for me after that. Like, you're still watching the game, and obviously, like, you still care about the result and everything else, but it's almost like the game didn't matter after that. And even I think it was reflected in the way we played off. All right, we got another goal, but for a lot of the time, it's almost like we were just passing the ball around just to pass around. There was no real attacking the tent or anything for probably a good at least 10 minutes. And you could see how upset Klopp was initially when they were showing him on the sidelines. And yeah, I'm with you on that. Let's hope he can get back to a full recovery, and he can get up and running probably end of the season, probably earliest, but most likely misses the season and comes back, gets a strong pre-season in, and he can do a good job for us for the next season coming up. But it is a shame to see what's happened, and he was looking like he's been looking good. He hasn't. I still feel there was a lot more to come from him as well, with like his talent and his potential, with what he could do in the side. So it is a real shame to see, because he was getting game time and it looked like he was starting to like bed in and gel with the rest of the first 11 pretty well, and this has happened.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, you look at it from a sense is that obviously Harvey Elliott's now injured. Does this allow Naby Keita to now come in and cement his place in the Liverpool lineup? Does this allow Thiago to now come in and cement his place in the Liverpool lineup? I mean, Thiago was sensational today. Absolutely fantastic. Everything that you want from Thiago, a senior player coming into this Liverpool lineup and practically passing Leeds to death. He was at the heart of everything good for Liverpool. that shield that Fabinho gave allowed Thiago to actually go on and influence the game. I mean, what's your thoughts on how Thiago played today?
I think Thiago was great, except for there was that one little chance when Bamford nicked the ball off him and like tried to score from really far out, and Addison tipped it over the bar. But aside from that, yeah, Thiago, he had almost a flawless game for me. I felt really, I wouldn't say bad for him. I'm trying to find the right word to say, but I was probably more frustrated with his goal, because obviously he made a really good run, dipped in at the back post and scored. But obviously, because Salah's offside, he was clearly offside. It didn't count. But just for him, just to like get him to like relax, and not that he's really a goal scorer in that sense, but when you just get a goal and whatever, you've got that off your back, whatever position you play in, it just helps you relax and feel a little bit more confident. And he is a class player, and he showed what he's about and what he can actually give us in the difference in midfield to our other players. In regards of him cementing his place in our team, I don't really feel, because of the injuries and everything that's happened the season we had last season and whatever else, he's had that real chance yet. But I feel he's always had the quality, and once he gets game time and he can keep himself fit for like a couple of weeks consistently and actually play for us in our team consistently, he will show what he's got. So I always thought, in regards of pecking order, he was above Harvey Elliott anyway, if that makes sense. Keita, I'd probably say the same thing. It's just that Keita, he's had issues with injuries and whatever else, and then obviously he's had this whole thing where the whole coup thing, and he was stuck in this country. I think he's just been a bit unlucky as well at times. So he has got a chance too.
I'd agree with you. I'd agree with you slightly with the Naby Keita thing, and guys that are watching will know that I've been critical of Naby Keita of late, because I feel that he's had opportunities to come into the midfield, but he just hasn't taken them. But like I said, every cloud with this injury, however unfortunate it is, this is football, and it does leave a spot available for one of those guys to occupy, and we could actually potentially see what a lot of people is touting as Liverpool's best midfield, with Henderson, Thiago and Fabinho lining up sort of more regularly, and the others coming in to play bit part roles in that as well. Kev O'Sullivan makes a very, very key point here as well, in terms of rotation. Rotation is going to be crucial to avoid the level of injuries which we experienced last year. And again, I don't think we'll be so unlucky this year, because that was a freak injury crisis that we had all in one season. I mean, we go to AC Milan in the Champions League this week as well. And that's obviously got to be on Klopp's mind in terms of his key selections heading into the weekend of fixtures after that as well. Cup competitions aren't too far away also. So we need to make sure that we're getting the right mix and the right blend with the squad. Now, I just want to head back into the Leeds game and bring our attention back to a certain performance of Mohamed Salah. I mean, will he go down as being one of the best inside forwards in Premier League history? I personally feel that he doesn't get enough recognition for his performances. And I'll be very open on the channel. I think that the unfortunate thing is that he's an Arab man plying his trade in the Premier League. Football has some real way to go. We've seen some real nasty scenes from football over the last 12 to 18 months in terms of racial behavior. And I do think there is a slight undertone of racial discrimination and racial profiling towards Mohamed Salah, because he's unbelievable. He is unbelievable. You just look at, I watched or listened to Talk Sport, and the presenter couldn't put his finger on why he just didn't rate Mohamed Salah. And you got Darren Bent going back at him saying, hold on a second, how can you not rate him? And he's saying, I just don't know. Like, I hear Harry Kane's name and I get excited. I hear Mo Salah's name, I don't get excited. That's not a reason for me. And the Twitter timeline went absolutely insane as to why you don't rate Mohamed Salah. He is a goal machine and playing from a wide position. Imagine if he was a centre forward, how many goals he'd get. It would be a freak of nature. I mean, do you think that Mo Salah will eventually get his flowers and go down as one of the best inside forwards or best striking or potent forces in the Premier League?
I hope he does. But I agree. I'm with you with what you just said, basically, with him, because even that statement from whoever else on Talk Sport, like if you're talking about how, like for me, like and Harry Kane is a great goal scorer, but if you're talking about players that excite you, you cannot say that Harry Kane, even you hear Harry Kane's name as a football player, he excites you and Mo Salah doesn't. Like, come on, like that doesn't make any sense at all. Just the players that they are, like the kind of goals Mo Salah scores when he has the ball, the way he attacks with intent, runs at players. That's what we all watch football for. That kind of excitement, the dribbling, like the exquisite touch, taking on players. Harry Kane is a great goal scorer, but he is just like a goal scorer. Right? He's added assists and stuff to his game, but it's not like he has these little intricate backheel passes, flicks, tricks, or whatever else. Do you know what I mean? So for him, for you to say that Harry Kane, you hear the name Harry Kane, and that excites you, and Mo Salah doesn't. There's something wrong there, unless you're a Tottenham fan.
Totally, and this is just it. I mean, I look at when he arrived at Liverpool, virtually as an unknown. I mean, if we're being honest, people kind of snarled at the fee and said, the money we're spending on him, is this guy, are we going to get value for money from this transfer? And he's paid us back tenfold. He's paid us back tenfold. His goals have been so vital and so crucial to Liverpool's continued rise and their recent success. He scored, albeit a penalty, scored a goal in the Champions League final. How many people or how many forwards can say they've scored a goal in a Champions League final? We look at the running towards the Premier League title. He was instrumental. We look at last season as well. While other players, and let's be honest, while other players were underperforming not to the standard or to their own lofty standards which we judge them by, Mohamed Salah continued to put match-winning performances in, which inadvertently dragged us to third place in the Premier League when it looked bleak. I do concede other players contributed to that, but Mohamed Salah was a talismanic figure for us last season, and for me will go down and will be remembered as one of the leading and top goal scorers in Premier League history. If he stays at Liverpool until the end of his career, he could quite easily head into 200 plus goals and more. Could you imagine? That's unreal.
Yeah,
that is unreal. That's unreal. Now, just again, looking back at the game, I want to pay a bit of respect to Leeds as well in some ways. Patrick Bamford is a talent. I enjoyed watching Bamford play today. He was bright in terms of Leeds. He gave our defence problems. He made Virgil van Dijk adjust his game slightly to cater for Patrick Bamford, playing in between Matip and Van Dijk. Matip didn't know whether to go up against him or to drop in. Van Dijk didn't know whether to go into battle with him or drop in. And he looked absolutely fantastic. Kev, just with a quick comment here as well. Salah can top 250 if he stays healthy. I totally agree with you. And I feel his long-term career is as a out-and-out centre forward. We look at the rise of, again, Cristiano Ronaldo back in the Premier League, but he made the change from a winger to an out-and-out striker, and, you know, he's never looked back since. Sorry to mention a Manchester United player on a Liverpool podcast, but he is one of the best players, or has been one of the best players in the world. We cannot deny it, and Mohamed Salah could do something very, very similar. Daddy Pig as well, quickly just to finish off on a Salah topic. Salah is great and will finish it great. Just ignore people that argue different. I agree with you. I tend to ignore people that say different as well. But unfortunately, football is an opinions, a game of opinions. And if someone doesn't bring to me a justified opinion as to why Mohamed Salah isn't a top class player and won't go down as one of the best forwards in Premier League history, for me, your football argument is flawed. that names you have to talk about when including Mo. I agree. You have to bring him up because he set the benchmark for a long, long time, Ronaldo and Messi in world football. So again, they need to get their flowers. But just back to Bamford. I mean, what's your thoughts quickly? Because there was a rumor which surfaced at the tail end of last week that he was potentially on a transfer list, 5th, maybe 6th choice on the transfer list, and Jurgen Klopp does like him as a player. What did you think to Bamford's performance today?
I think he did okay. I think his finishing wise, he could have been a little bit more clinical, I would say. But all in all, I think he did well. I just think that he just came up against like a very strong defence in us today. And that sort of held him back a bit. But he did well. He's just Bamford, he's a good player. And I think he would be good for us squad-wise. But I don't think he will be the type of striker that will be pushing for a first-team place if we were to get him right now.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I don't think he's got the quality to necessarily come into Liverpool and be an out-and-out starter, but we are light in that striking department in terms of a backup striker. Origi not even included, I believe, in the match day squad. So that kind of maybe spells the end of Origi's Liverpool career, to be honest, as well. I mean, Kev coming with a great comment here as well. Patrick Bamford needed the support. Rafinha was poor. Another player which has been on Liverpool's radar as well was Rafinha. And I agree with you, Kev. I think Rafinha was poor today. You know, he was poor. He didn't produce the goods for Leeds either. You know, when I was looking at Rafinha, thinking he was actually going to show us why that interest is there from Liverpool. And we didn't see that today. We didn't see it at all. I mean, another man to jump on a score sheet today as well in Sadio Mane. Now, Sadio Mane for me personifies hard work and persistence, and he got his just desserts. He got his goal, but he probably could have had 3 today, 4 maybe. I mean, are we ever going to see the potent Sadio Mane of our Champions League winning season, or are we going to have to maybe accept that his game has changed a little bit and we have to get to know a different Sadio Mane in terms of the performances that he's putting in?
For me, I feel he just needs a game where, all right, you see, now, even though it was basically an open goal, which he missed in the first half, it wasn't the easiest chance because the ball was quite far behind him. But just because of who I feel that he is, I felt he should still score that. And then he had the other chance before he scored, which he cut back inside on the defender. And again, I think he really should have scored it. But the keeper pulled out a decent save, I would say. But I just feel if he has a game where those kind of chances go in, I feel he's going to go back to what he is. I think it's just, for me, I think it's just a little confidence thing. And once he gets it, he's just going to hit the ball a little bit more cleanly, maybe a little bit more accurately to the left or right of a keeper, where sometimes I find he's hitting the ball a bit too close to the keeper, and that's why he's not scoring, then why he isn't scoring. And when he has a game where like everything kind of just goes for him and he feels he's flowing, I feel then he's going to get back to it. Personally, because for me, I think the last game where I've really seen him, what I feel Sadio Mane of the old was probably the Crystal Palace game last season before we went on that crazy bad run we had. Since then, he's just all right. I think he had a bit of a shocker, but he's not playing as bad as he was playing before. And as you say, he's trying really hard, and that's one element of him that you've got to give him props and respect for. That he's still working hard, even though you can see things aren't really going the way it could go for him. He's not letting it get him down as such. He's still smiling on the pitch and whatever else. So I feel it's just a moment of time when it happens. And when it happens, he's going to explode, and that could be the difference in us like winning something really major, maybe us not winning something really major.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, look, I'm a realist. We're in this title race as it stands at the moment. We look at what Chelsea have done in the transfer market. We look at what United have done in the transfer market. We look at what City have done in the transfer market in terms of their signings. And Liverpool have stood firm and only brought in Ibrahim Konate. Now, that could either be a very shrewd move from Liverpool Football Club, and it comes off very much in the same way that we went on and won the Premier League, or it could be a decision which we grow to regret over the course of the season. Players like Sadio Mane will need to get back to their best form in order to make sure that decision from Liverpool is vindicated, in not bringing in any other players in terms of this window. I mean, the game as a whole, we were dominant. Even before the red card, we were dominant. We controlled the game. I don't think the result was ever in doubt. There were small spells where Leeds looked to try and get hold of the game and make a difference and try and capitalize. But defensively, we were sound. We never really seemed at threat. You had that half chance from Patrick Bamford, which Alisson has comfortably tipped over the bar. You had another half chance in the first half as well. But realistically, they didn't really pose any major threats to Liverpool's back four. When we look at what we were doing to them, we were dragging them all over the place. It looked incredibly disjointed from Leeds. Now, there's a couple of comments in here as well in regards to some of the chanting, which was coming from the Leeds supporters. And again, I don't want to put up some of these comments because there's a few that are a little bit derogatory in there. But I do agree with some of what's being said in the chat here, saying that it's Harvey Elliott's fault that he's been injured. Now, I had a conversation with a Leeds fan on Twitter a couple of weeks ago when something went up, something very similar about, I believe it was Marcus Rashford and Jadon Sancho, I think, saying that you let the country down. There was a chant that went viral on Twitter, and I was just like, nah, that ain't it. And some people were saying that, oh, it's football. Football's got hollow. Fans can't take banter. There's a clear line between banter and disgusting shithouse behaviour. Let's be honest, because there's no other word for it. Leeds today, in terms of their fans, are full Elland Road, and I have respect for Leeds as a football club because they're a staple football club, and steeped in so much tradition in the English top flight. But from their fans today, that was total shithouse behaviour, and there is no real legislation to stop it. I mean, what's your thoughts?
To be honest, while I was watching it, there was so much background noise. I didn't hear it, to be honest. So I don't even know what was said. I don't know if it's too explicit to say now. If you want to share,
I don't want to repeat it because I'd rather forget about it. But I just think that it was disgusting behaviour from Leeds, and
was it racist?
No, there wasn't a racist undertone to it. It was more to do. There was a few bits about Hillsborough in there as well, regards to the 96, and then obviously the Harvey Elliott chant as well was disgusting also. And I didn't know if you heard it, but some of the guys in the comments as well have mentioned it, and I just think that it's horrible. I mean, in terms of some of the stuff that Kev's put in the chat as well, guys, season stats so far with Liverpool are top for total shots, shots on target we're first as well. Chances created, we're first as well. Touches in the opposition box, we're second. For corners, first. I mean, our attacking in creativity has been questioned recently. There's been teams out there saying that Liverpool are not a potent force. Surely these stats here that's been thrown in here by Kev tell you that Liverpool are just as attacking and just as potent. I mean, we spoke about Sadio Mane a few moments ago and saying, do we have to maybe accept that Sadio Mane's game's altered a little bit? But some of these stats here would suggest that maybe his game hasn't altered and he's still the same potent force that he was before. It's not exactly passing the eye test at the moment, but the eye test isn't everything, is it?
No, and it's it's also what you got to think. It's early on in the season, so I saw something on Sky Sports a few weeks ago where they were talking about how the title race is hotting up, and I was just thinking to myself, how can you talk about a title race when you've only played 2 games? That just makes no sense to me. So I feel the way. I'm not sure if it's just because of social media or it's just because of the media in general, but football seems to be a very reactional thing on game to game. So, all right, we played really well today, and you'll probably have some people say, okay, Liverpool are title contenders, this and that, and then maybe we go against Milan and then we draw, and then they're like, oh, this Liverpool team, they're going to struggle to win the league. They're probably only going to they'll probably struggle to get out of the Champions League group if they do that, or if not, they might get to the second round, whatever, and then we might win our next match 6 or 7-0 or something, and then again we're back. This is the team from 3 years ago. No one can stop. It's just, you know what I mean? The way the headlines and stuff just change, the narrative just changes from like week to week. Is crazy in football. It's like one day you're a hero and the next day you're not, and it's, for me, the season's too early. It's like even a few of my friends who support Arsenal and stuff, and like they're obviously, because of the way things are going for Arsenal, they're down in the dumps and whatever else. But it's still early on in the season, and not to say I don't think Arsenal have got the potential to do it. But if Arsenal went on a run and they won probably like 90% of the rest of their games, they'll be up there for the title. So there's like so much that can still happen in the season. So it's a bit early to really write teams off or to say this and that. And I just found it weird in the sense that, all right, you could say squad-wise, we're a bit light compared to our obvious challengers for the league title. But as a first 11 team, we're there. And if we don't have last season, what we had with the injuries was very freakish, especially in central defence. And as we know, there was times where we were playing our best midfielders in central defence to make up for our lack of defenders. And barring we don't have a season like that again, which is, as I say, so freakish, we're going to be there or thereabouts. So for people to say that we're not title contenders and stuff, I found that a bit weird in the season. All right, I just feel that we could have strengthened our squad to make us a bigger threat than we are, but we're still a threat. And we're still one of the best teams in Europe. So it can't be that bad.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, I do think it's very early for us to be talking title challengers and title contenders. But I do think, and Kev makes a great point in here as well, that the top 4 teams, they talk about a top 6, but I still believe there's a top 4. I think the top 4 teams will create a big gap between us and the rest as well. To be frank, I mean, I can see a total full on, onslaught from Liverpool, City, Chelsea, and United for this league title. And you're right, you can only play 11 players. You can only play 11 players at once, and our starting 11. Or even 14 of our 22-man squad, they're top players. They are top individuals. We've got Thiago in there, who's won league titles with Bayern and Champions Leagues with Bayern. We've got James Milner in there who knows how to win league titles. And we're not, and that's obviously not counting the guys that have won the league title already with Liverpool. We've got some know-how in that squad. We've got Virgil van Dijk who captains his nation. We've got some big players in there that know what it takes to win. And I feel like today's performance showed that. I mean, again, Kev brings words. Look at the bench. The 9 on the bench today. It's a decent bench as well. That bench wasn't bottom tier. It was a decent bench. I mean, Ox came on and looked terrific, but it was the bench isn't that bad. And guys, as we close, please, if you haven't already, and this is your first time watching the show, please subscribe to the LFC Daytrippers as well. Lots and lots of great match reactions coming on here as well, and initial match coverage too. They've got various shows such as the Fatback 4 as well, and the forum. So make sure you are liking and subscribing. Please like this video as well. And guys, you can also find myself over at the Red Sea Podcast. We are on the way to 400 subscribers. We are a very new channel and have the privilege of providing your match reactions via the LFC Daytrippers. Great comments, Joshua. Yeah, I won't put it up because there's a bit of profanity in there. But Josh, I see your comment and I do agree with you. Also, I think that the tackle, and we've covered this a bit earlier on the show, I think the tackle was horrendous. I'll bleep out your comments in here as well. Tackle enabled the media, terrible referees that injured a young talent, followed by a disgraceful chanting from their fans. Peak modern toxic football. Do you know what? I agree with you. And I think that's where football, unfortunately, is at the moment. In the modern game, there is some toxic fans in football at the moment, and I feel we have those fans in all our fan bases. You know, we're not immune to it. As Liverpool Football Club, you see some of the stuff that flies around on Twitter as well. But guys, we are going to close. I've been Thiago's father here with your match reactions, joined by AA from the Scousers in London. AA, before you go, please can you tell the viewers where they can find you, my man?
You can find us, the Scousers in London, on YouTube, Scousers in London on Instagram, Scousers in LDN on Twitter.
And what about your own personal Twitter as well?
I'm not personally on Twitter. I need to sort that self. I need to sort myself out in that regard.
You do it for your main one, don't you?
Yeah, do it for the main one, and then also on Scousers in London, AA. If you're on Instagram, you can follow me on there as well. I do match. I normally do the league previews, predictions, and have a little analysis at the end of the week and stuff like that. Have thoughts of the day sometime on what's going on in football. Just a little bit of banter and whatever else. So yeah.
And Kev just chipping in as well. Late show tonight, the Fatback 4, guys. That show's absolutely sensational. Make sure you lock in for the Fatback 4. Promised great analysis from today's game as well. Also, lots of laughs as well on the Fatback 4. So make sure you are locking into the LFC Daytrippers for that this evening as well. Somehow a Chelsea fans managed to make his way into the comments, but we won't post that one as well because I have to say that nobody cares. But guys, I've been Thiago's father. Thank you for joining us on the LFC Daytrippers. It's been an absolute pleasure bringing you your match reactions today. And guys, look out for us after the AC Milan show as well. We'll be providing match reactions for that show too. Guys, God bless. Take care.
Oh, peace.